China's zero-COVID policy has come under fire as the government tries to save China's economy. What strategies are they using? Real estate in China has been falling for 11 months. Many Chinese investors are boycotting their mortgages. COVID has broken out in 19 provinces in China. The island province of Hainan has over 1,200 cases and accounts for over 50% of the total number. The Taiwan Affairs Office of the Communist Party of China labeled 7 Taiwanese politicians as zealots for their so-called Taiwan Independence Movement and sanctioned them. Mountaineer Grace Tseng becomes the first Taiwanese to scale K2 and the youngest to complete 4 peaks over 8,000 meters in Pakistan. She still has higher ambitions. Finally, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell more than 2% as tech stocks came under pressure. These include stocks from several major Chinese corporations. Welcome to Sound of Hope News. My name is Daniela Wolensack, and today is August 17th. Officials in China are reconsidering the Chinese Communist Party's zero-COVID policy. The secretive Beidaihe meeting was suspected to have taken place from August 1st to 12th. During the meeting, it seems senior Communist Party officials bombarded the Chinese president about the policy. The zero-COVID strategy has caused China's economy to decline and for foreign capital to retreat. The Chinese premier, Li Keqiang, asked governors in wealthy provinces to donate to the rest of the country and ration their own provinces. The minister responsible for COVID prevention, Vice Premier Sun Chunlan, showed up in Hainan province on August 13th to inspect an outbreak. The vice premier downplayed the zero-COVID policy and called for the restoration of normal life as soon as possible, which is a signal of the change in the zero-COVID policy. The vice premier apologized for the closure of Hainan and the 150,000 tourists stranded there. The University of South Carolina Icahn School of Business professor Xie Tian said that the reason the premier is eager to save the economy is to save the Communist Party. On the flip side, the premier knows that the zero-COVID policy and recovering the economy are in conflict. The premier's strategy is to ask these big financial players for money. These provinces are richer, and the premier may be able to squeeze some money out of them to help the central government and other provinces. China's housing market, which has helped propel China's rapid growth since the 2008 global financial crisis, is in the middle of a downturn that is now in its 11th straight month. On August 14th, the South China Morning Post reported that 50 million vacant apartments could flood the market, warning that it's a ticking time bomb. The Chinese government often encourages its citizens to invest in the housing sector, rather than its volatile stock markets. Chinese citizens also receive almost no interest from banks, and their money is subject to strict cross-border capital restrictions. This leaves them with few places to invest their money other than in real estate. According to China's National Bureau of Statistics, more than 320 projects in about 100 cities face mortgage suspensions, while new home prices in 70 cities declined. Analysts at Japanese financial holdings company Nomura Securities warn that Chinese developers have only delivered about 60% of pre-sold homes between 2013 and 2020. Currently, many Chinese investors are staging a mortgage boycott, refusing to pay money for property that might never be built. And according to Bloomberg, the Chinese housing sector has seen at least $90 billion wiped off its stocks and bonds since the year began, because of the housing crisis caused by Chinese developer Evergrande when it defaulted on its debt last year. Additionally, Chinese President Xi Jinping has not changed his stance towards China's zero-COVID policy, resulting in harsh lockdowns that have caused foreign businesses and investors to be wary of China, making a return to a booming economy currently impossible. China's central bank cut key interest rates on August 15th to help the situation. Whether the rate cuts will help spark demand in the housing market remains to be seen. The COVID epidemic continues to spread throughout China. Nearly 2,400 new cases in 19 provinces and cities were added on August 15th. 1,200 cases in Hainan province accounted for over 50% of the total reported cases. The Hainan government has announced that they will take a wartime mentality to fight the epidemic. The government launched an operation called Knock on Doors to ensure all people are tested for COVID. The minority Li tribe autonomous county in Hainan's Ludong area also reported 223 new cases yesterday. 33 areas there were subsequently designated as high risk. As of 3 p.m. on the 16th, a total of 42 confirmed cases have been reported in Xiamen, Fujian province, according to local media. Xiamen officials say they believe the current Omicron variant is the more infectious BA.2 virus. This virus variant is spreading through multiple transmission chains, making epidemic control a complex and challenging task. To get a handle on the situation, Xiamen decided to carry out nucleic acid testing for all people, starting from August 17th. Testing will be conducted once a day for 3 consecutive days. The Taiwan Affairs Office of the Communist Party of China announced on August 16th that it would add 7 Taiwanese politicians to the list of zealots for the so-called Taiwan Independence Movement and sanction them. The 7 people included the representative of the Republic of China to the United States, Xiao Meiqin, Secretary General of the National Security Council, Gu Lixiong, Vice President of the Legislative Yuan, Cai Qichang, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, Lin Feifan, DPP legislator Ke Jianming and Wang Tingyu, and New Power Party legislator Chen Jiaohua. The sanctions included prohibiting the sanctioned person and his or her family from entering mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau, and forbidding the sanctioned person's affiliates to work with organizations or individuals in mainland China for financial gains. One of the sanctioned DPP legislators, Wang Tingyu, responded that day. He stated, "Chinese communists have threatened Taiwan's democracy with force, blocked Taiwan from speaking to the world. It's a joke that the gangsters are punishing others for hooligan behavior." Wang went on to say, "The CCP has banned me from entering mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau for many years. Such sanctions are no new gimmicks. They are probably just venting. What is interesting is that we live in a free society in Taiwan, and the sanction is meant for the territory of China. So, the sanction, in a way, seems to be treating Taiwan as an independent domain, an independent country. It is not only embarrassing for the CCP, it also indirectly helped us rise to the level of Nancy Pelosi. It is a highly welcome good thing." Previously, President of the Executive Yuan of the Republic of China, Su Zhengchang, President of the Legislative Yuan, You Xikun, and Foreign Minister Wu Zhaoxie have been included in the sanctioned list. Mountaineer Grace Tseng, age 29, is the first Taiwanese to successfully conquer K2, the second highest peak in the world and the hardest to scale. She completed the feat on July 23rd. She is the youngest person to complete 4 peaks, Broad Peak, Kokori, and Gasherbrum 1 and 2, above 8,000 meters in Pakistan, all without using supplemental oxygen in just 22 days. For her K2 venture, Tseng shared her climbing diary on Facebook. She stated, "Because of the severe weather conditions and difficult terrain, she had to give up on her first attempt when she was only a few hundred meters away from the peak. The failed attempt added a psychological obstacle to the already difficult mission. She was cautious because intense winds were observed on Thursday, July 21st, which would prevent her group of over 80 mountaineers from getting to the peak the next day. Thankfully, the weather was good on Friday, and it helped her achieve her goal." Regarding the last stretch of her summit, Tseng said, "After overcoming slopes steeper than Mount Everest, difficult terrain, and low oxygen saturation, I finally summited K2 after climbing the ice on my knees in tears." Now, Tseng is seeking to climb all 14 of the world's peaks of at least 8,000 meters above sea level before her 30th birthday. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell more than 2%, as tech stocks came under pressure. These include leading Chinese medical device companies, such as Microport, Neurotech, and RainMed Medical, that have recently issued only 2% of Hong Kong shares. The actual net financing amount, or financial loan, is even lower than the pre-IPO financing. A financing amount or financing loan is a loan you take out with a securities company to buy stocks, like a loan you take out with a bank to buy a house. The initiator of this practice can be traced back to Chinese artificial intelligence giant SenseTime. SenseTime was suddenly sanctioned by the United States before it appeared in Hong Kong stocks. On December 30th last year, it issued only 5% of new shares in its Hong Kong stock IPO, and the actual financing amount was significantly lower than before the listing. 4% of the 5% of new shares issued by SenseTime were allocated to cornerstone investors, and only 1% entered the circulation market. Investors have dubbed this practice of Chinese companies the beggar's gang version of IPOs, which means that the amount of financing these companies have raised is extremely poor. Sound of Hope invited commentator Chen Wei to share his opinion. He said this can happen because many companies have signed a betting agreement when introducing investors. The listing price cannot be lower than the pre-IPO price to ensure investors can make money. Otherwise, they must buy back their shares or make compensation accordingly. To avoid inverted valuation and betting failure, to ensure that the IPO can deliver, there is a micro-shrink version of the IPO. He pointed out that, taking Microport Neurotech as an example, the company's approach has indeed kept its leading company stock price and face under market pressure. But the daily turnover is only 4.6 million Hong Kong dollars, which is incredible for a star company with a market value of over 10 billion. Chen Wei said that these phenomena highlight the problems caused by China's economic downturn and the bursting of capital bubbles. Today, in the most popular industries such as electronic chips, biomedicine, and others, the average valuation before the listing has dropped by 30%. If they don't hurry up and go public, they may be unable to get on the market. Thank you so much for listening to Sound of Hope News. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you tomorrow.